Welcome to another edition of In Conversation here on Rock Show Critique. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Eric Bieber. Welcome.
Great to be here.
So, a lot of people are familiar with your last name probably, but they're not too familiar with you as in general. Let's go ahead and give them a rundown on what you're currently up to here in the music world and all about everything here.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I've been playing music a long, long time. I think I started about age 4, but started playing out about age, I don't know, 13, 14. I don't know. It was a long time ago. I can't really remember. Most recently, we've been doing a bunch of stuff in Rochester and, playing with some great, great people and have a new album that's coming out beginning of May. First single just came out. I just saw it today. They're going to put the second video and single out April 22nd. But the band's name is Lips Turn Blue. There's an old time song called Lips Turn Blue that was really, I think, where we got the name from. But lots of activity around that album. It's been a couple years in the making. Kind of started during the pandemic, and when we were all sitting sequestered and unable to sit together in the studio, and an idea came out that wanted to take a song that Donnie Mancuso and Phil Naro had done previously on one of Donnie's earlier albums and redo it and recraft it, in part to say thank you to all the unbelievable doctors and nurses that were doing so much back then to take care of us. And, we just wanted to say thank you. And that created a really cool song and video that went with it. And we were so excited about that one. We did another, and then another, and then another, and we just kept doing songs until we said, well, we've got an album. And our manager, Bruce Pilato, heard all of it and said, this is, I love this. And that's kind of where it began. And it's ended now with, well, it hasn't ended. It's continuing on with, the album coming out and a bunch of videos coming out. And, fortunately now our ability to go out and play live. And, there's been a lot of things in between, including the passing of our friend and bandmate, Phil Naro. So it's great to get it out. It was a promise we made to Phil, and the album sounds great. Phil sounds great, and I think it's a testament to his legacy as just an incredible vocalist and musician.
Yeah, definitely. I've had the pleasure of seeing Phil many times in the live setting and everything, and yeah, definitely a great musician. Glad we're getting another album, one more album here, and from what all I'm hearing about it, it's it's an amazing album.
Well, we had a ton of fun making it, and it covers and hard stuff, soft stuff. I mean, it really shows off Phil's vocal talents. He's as great singing hard rock as some of the more soft, kind of tender songs that we made during that time. And he, Donnie, and I, wrote a number of the songs. Some of the songs were Donnie's and Phil's, and it just all came together. It was one of these amazing things where it just clicked. And Mike Mullane, our bass player, Mike, Donnie, and I had played a ton in Rochester. Of course, Phil and Donnie had played a ton together over the years, D Drive and other incarnations. And there was just this magic that happens so infrequently. But when when you have it. And that's kind of what happened with that first song. Is we all just went, oh my gosh, this was kind of cool. We've got to do another one. And it it just ignited this fire that just kept on going. Um, so yeah, it was a fun album to make. You know, it was crazy times then. It's kind of crazy times now, and you know, I think it helped many of us. It was quite therapeutic, I think, doing the record.
Now, do you have any personal favorite cuts on the album that stand out for you?
Yeah, that's, you know, I think like most people, it's like asking you to pick your favorite kid. You know, an amazing song is a song called "Life's Crazy Ride," and it was one of the last songs we did. It was a song uh, Phil and I did. I remember he was um, he was going back to Toronto, and I sent him 3 songs and said, I think I got 3 good ones for you. You know, let's get the lyrics going, and let's get these done. And you know, son of a gun, if literally one of them within hours, the other one within, you know, a day or so. And one of those songs was what later came to be "Life's Crazy Ride." And I just think it was, you know, the times we were in. I think it was what Phil was going through, and you know, it was a sort of a testament to Phil's, you know, kind of constantly positive attitude no matter what, and you know how crazy things were around us, and for him, and the environment. But you know how, you know, life's an amazing thing, and you know, you just have to have fun with it, and you never give up, and you keep pushing on even when things are hard. And it's a great melody. Donnie Mancuso wrote just some crazy guitar lines in it. The lead in it is just this haunting, incredible guitar lick. You know, and Mike laid down some really unbelievable bass in it. So I think that one for, you know, many of us is just, it's a great song. It's a great melody. You know, and it's something, you know, we constantly think about remembering Phil. Actually, a little hard for us to play it, to be honest.
Now, I noticed you guys got a few song samples on your website there, and one of them, "Pray for Tomorrow." Really like the way that beginning kicks off with that keyboard.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a great song. You know, Phil and Donnie wrote that, and you know, again, it was just I think then and now it's a testament to thinking about, you know, in the face of lots of unbelievable things, some positivity around life, and hope. And that will actually be, that's the one I alluded to earlier. That's the video coming out April 22nd. It's, I just saw the final video just late last night, and it's a great video. It's reflective of, you know, where the world is at right now, and you know, and our hopes for, you know, tomorrow, and frankly a better future for all of us. Um, so it's a cool song. I think people are going to like it. You know, I certainly hope that as it goes out to the world. And you know, one of the nice things with having MIG, the record label, it's a German record company, and you know, they've got distribution throughout the world through various different channels. And so the hope is a whole lot of people will get to hear this, and you know, hear the talent of Phil, and hear the talent of the musicians that created it.
Yeah, now tell me, how did you get involved with? Were you originally with D Drive, or how did you get hooked up with everybody here with your busy schedule? Because as a lot of people might not be aware, you used to have a very hectic life until recently.
Yeah, I did. Well, it's less hectic now, although in some ways it's more hectic now. But you know, it's a it's a funny story. Donnie, Mike, and I had been playing together over a number of years now. You know, probably closing in on a decade. Uh, I was uh, I was at an event that I was part of, And as it happened that day, Donnie and one of Donnie's bands was playing, and some of my folks said, Eric, why don't you go play with these guys? And it's always a rough thing, because having played music for a number of decades, it's always pretty scary when people come up and want to play with you. And the usual answer is no, heck no, and some expletives that will follow, because sometimes things go south really fast. But Donnie's a great guy, and he sort of acquiesced, and I went up and played a song with him, and he kind of looked at me, and I think I remember him saying, well, you can actually play. I actually can, yeah. And so, we talked a little bit, and anyway, life went on. A couple months later, we were at a similar event, and I came up to him, and we started talking, and he said, you got to come down and play with the band I'm playing with now. And so I did. And I remember coming in and, unloading. And I think the first song we went to play was, Foreigner song, Feels Like the First Time. And I remember going into the opening, and then the organ verse part, and Donnie just got this big smile, and that was really where it started. And we played, just a ton of gigs over the years, and a number of different incarnations, including D Drive. And when we came up with the idea of doing Pray for Tomorrow, uh, that's really where it emanated out of, was our time together, and just having a ton of fun playing together. And we were fortunate that Mike Mullane, our bass player, who again had played with in a number of incarnations, he's just an incredible talent, and gifted singer. And of course Phil kept coming into the picture. And Phil, and we just had, again, it was this weird spark, that just when things are right, it's just really special. And you play with a lot of people over lots of years, but those sparks happen very, very infrequently. And this was just one of those sparks where it all came together, and people really liked each other. And at some level you're friends first. And I when Phil was sick, and I was having some medical stuff going on, I remember Phil was so less worried about himself. He'd text me every day or call me, and how you feeling, how you doing. um, that's that special bond that just exists between people and bandmates. And at some level then gets reflected in the music, because I think when people hear the record, those that have listened to it, it's just wow, it's this is cool stuff. Where'd you guys come up with this? It does just happen. It's literally as much as me sending or Donnie sending stuff around, and just crafting it from there. And we were fortunate. There's a great producer, Steve Major, that we've worked with in Toronto, that did a great job bringing the album together. And again, it was crazy because you couldn't get in the studio, you couldn't we couldn't go see Steve, because you couldn't even get over the Canadian line for
Right.
months and months, and unfortunately years. But that all came together. And Mark Schulman, Pink's drummer, uh, Donnie knew Mark because of Lou Graham, and I think Mark had played on one of the Foreigner tours, maybe Foreigner 4, and uh, Lou had given Donnie Mark's name, and they had connected. And when we were sitting around doing this stuff, and said, it'd be great to get Mark Schulman to play on a few of the songs, and called him, and he said, yeah, I'm just sitting at home, I can't do anything, sitting out in California. And he laid down just some unbelievable drum tracks on the record. And fortunately, we've been able to connect with a guy, Roy Stein, whose background, he's been a musician for years and years, but happens to be a lawyer and teaches at Nazareth College in Rochester, and is a great player. And then most recently, and kind of interestingly, one of Roy's students and one of Bruce Pilato, our manager's students from Nazareth, was we were so devastated with the loss of Phil, and they're impossible shoes to fill. I mean, you just can't find somebody like that. And so for months and months, we didn't know what to do. We talked to a bunch of people and tried out some people, and in the end, we've through this connection with Roy and Bruce as their student, met this young guy, Iggy Marino, who now is doing the live vocals for the band, and understands Phil's legacy and how important that is, and understands that no one can be Phil, but is able to just do a really nice job in his own unique way
Mhm.
of singing the songs on the album, which is no easy feat given how talented Phil is.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us about, how you got into music, your background, where it all started and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I was I think 4 or 5 years old and started playing piano, and was classically trained in the beginning. And I think in seventh grade, one of my friends bought his electric guitar to music class on the last day of the school year. It was, I think, a knockoff SG in one of if you remember the old Univox amps. I don't know, you remember the kind of plastic
Wow.
stuff, and you could see the speaker, and thinking that is really cool. And this guy playing really loud. I think he played War Pigs at school, and hey, that's pretty cool stuff, Tony Iommi. And I got to go get a guitar, and I got to start doing this. And so I did. Went and bought a Marshall and an SG with the money I made caddying.
Mm.
Uh, it took a lot of rounds of golf caddying. It was pretty unpleasant at $5 a loop to buy that sucker. But I bought one. It was one of the old Marshall 50-watt heads with 8 tens. I remember as my first band, the Police coming and pounding on the house door and saying, "Shut those kids down."
Jeez.
And then I knew I was onto something. Had to go with it. And became an okay guitarist. I still play guitar. I was carrying my Les Paul through the airport yesterday, and that's always interesting. And thing is heavy as heck. I gotta get the lighter Les Pauls, but this happens to be one of the old real wood ones from 81, 82. But I probably realized at some point that I had a lot more value as a keyboardist than as a guitarist. And bought a Rhodes, and got one of the old mini Korg synthesizers. Some point bought a Cut B3 that you know weighed 10 tons. It took two people to carry it, even though it was a cut one. It was actually a cut M3. I couldn't afford a B3. It's cut M3,
Mhm.
like the guys on Boston used to record the first Boston album. Yeah, anyways, one thing led to another. Played in lots and lots and lots of bands over the years in Chicago, and and Pennsylvania and Cleveland, and never stopped playing. Just always played. Always loved playing. It was sort of genre independent. Love seeing people happy when you're playing music. Love seeing people clapping, dancing. And that's no different today. Um, it's really special to be able to go out and perform and see smiles on people's faces when we just performed in Rochester on Sunday. It's great to be playing your own
Mhm.
music and seeing people get into it.
Now, did you have any big influences growing up or throughout life here that you tie into your playing right now?
Yeah, my father was an unbelievable musician. I mean, he was a great pianist, but he was a music teacher. He could literally play every instrument, and yeah, that was a big influence. Just learning how to play classical piano, and then I think connecting the dots of that into all other genres. And I think that probably still influences me to date. From how do you create the right licks and the right harmonies, and who plays what. And on the album you'll hear a lot of Donnie and myself just kind of doing harmony licks together or trading off licks. Doing string uh, on top of Donnie's incredible guitar riffs. And I'd say, Mike is it's the same thing on the bass. He's a guy that plays incredibly melodically. Um, so I think that's all carried into what we've done most recently, and at some level, as we continue to write, what we continue to do. And yeah, I was influenced by all the same bands we both were, and listened to everything. And the hard thing for me was, I love so many aspects of music, and continue to. I mean, I love hard rock, love some of the lighter stuff. But I still like classical music. I mean, I loved going to see the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra.
Mhm.
They're unbelievable. And watching people play with them. Um, so it's just, I don't know. If you love music, you kind of love it all. And so I mean, that's, I think, influenced everything in my life.
Now, you guys got Lou Gramm singing on a song on this album. Obviously, the connection between Don and Lou go way back in the day, back to Black Sheep days.
Goes all the way back.
Yeah.
I think
So,
Donnie. I think Donnie could drive, but I had a chance to play with Lou in December, and we were sitting in the green room. Lou's such a great guy, and he he was telling me the stories about having Donnie join Black Sheep, and on graduation, Donnie getting in Lou's car and driving to Buffalo and playing this big show in Buffalo. And Donnie missed his either part of his graduation or didn't get his diploma that day or some crazy thing. But I mean, they go all the way, back as far as they can go. And Black Sheep was such a cool band. And I think really was the nidus for all the stuff that followed for both of them in their lives and careers.
yeah, they definitely and then obviously Don played with Lou's solo band throughout the years, through various times. So they've always had that connection, and it was good to see them whenever they played together for sure.
You know, it's it still is. There was a gig pre-pandemic that we did in Rochester. It was an outdoor summer thing, and um, Lou came and did a few songs, and there's something just really special. What the two of them together. That when I talk about the spark,
Hmm.
just see it in their eyes. They love playing with each other. They had so much fun on stage, and it's just like no time had passed. It was like you were watching two 18-year-old kids playing together. Unfortunately, none of us are 18 anymore. Fortunately, I'm not sure which is. Some days were good, some days were bad at 18. But again, just something really special with the two of them. And so I think, again, in that song, "A Little Outside," you sort of hear that, where it's just, it's a really cool song, and Lou sounds great, and um, Donnie's just he's an amazing guitarist. So when you get the album, there's a song on it called "No Need to Call." That there's a riff Donnie does in that song. It's one of the great lead guitars I think ever. I never get tired listening to it. And when I remember playing it for people and people just going, "That's cool,"
Hmm.
and that started going back to your question. I mean, that was that all began kind of with Lou, and Black Sheep. So it's interesting how these things all come back in a interesting circular manner.
Yeah. So now, when you guys, how did it come about to decide to give it a name change? Because obviously, D Drive was pretty much well known up in this Western New York area and Rochester. What was the decision behind the new band name?
Yeah, so as it turns out, there is a band in Japan. Um, I think reasonably well known there, not so well known internationally. I think they played at the NAMM Festival one year, but D Drive. So I think they changed. There's an underscore or something. I don't remember all the specifics, but Donnie had the name D Drive, and I think he had the name trademark. But it was just there was too much going on there, and so as we thought about names, and the suggestion was, well, you really have to get something different. uh, Bruce Pilato, our manager, had this idea for Lips Turn Blue based on this old song, and he thought, well, that's kind of cool. Then our graphics design guy in Chicago came up with this just really cool graphics around it. And we sort of like this, Lips Turned Blue or LTB. And, that's where it came from. And people dig it. When you show people, the album cover, and we've got this great model with, you know, blue lipstick on, and really cool LTB sunglasses. People like it. It's I'd say it's had a nice response. So that's where it came from.
Yeah, I think the name is definitely catches your attention, which is nowadays with all the different names that everybody's gone through over the years. It's good that you still were able to come up with something that catches the attention.
Yeah, well, I think Bruce creativity, and I remember getting on a Zoom call with Phil and Donnie and Mike, and saying, well, what do you think? What do you think? And we love the name D Drive. It's really that was Donnie's baby, and but we thought this was pretty cool too. So, and I love what the graphics person has done. I mean, a really talented guy, and he made it look great.
Do you have a release date for the new album at all?
Yeah, I think May 3rd is what I have heard. So I'm pretty confident April 22nd, because I literally just saw an email on this for the second release, Pray for Tomorrow, with the video. And then I'm thinking May 3rd on the album. And it's been tough because with the things going on in Europe, and with COVID, it's been one thing after another. I think there were challenges with getting the CDs pressed, and getting them over here. Um, some of those things, as I understand it, get done in Eastern Europe.
Mhm.
Germany has had all sorts of, like Europe, with just continued COVID surges one after another, and that's created all sorts of havoc over the last 6 months. But I think we're in pretty good shape now, that the dates are pretty solid.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to share or anything else you want to add? Any information on touring? Any plans right now for any major tours or anything? Or are you just kind of seeing what happens?
Yeah, well, so we just did our kind of initiating show literally last weekend, up in Rochester, kind of a friends and family sort of experience. and we're playing a headline show out in Arizona, uh, April 8th, this coming Friday. Cool venue at the Music Instrument Museum. It's a great place. Just a great little theater. And so that'll be a nice way to start things. And I think, we're certainly hoping to be up in Buffalo. Certainly lots of folks want to hear Phil's music, in the Buffalo and Toronto area, back in Rochester. And, I think the label is hoping that, things settle down with COVID and live music can really do its thing again. But, COVID certainly whacked the music festivals in a pretty substantial way. So hopefully this summer and, subsequently we'll, have some opportunities there to go out and play this music. There's been a lot of interest in Europe around it. And then, take it from there, and hopefully, some of the music goes viral and people get excited, and we have some nice opportunities to go play it for the country. All right, so thanks so much for taking time and your interest in it.